Hello folks, hope you're doing well, hope your weekend is going well, hope everything in life is going well. North here, back again with some more Q&A nonsense. If you want to be involved in the Q&A, make sure you are a part of the Patreon. To do that, all you need to do is sign up to the Patreon down below. If you do that, then you can send me any of your lovely, lovely, lovely questions that you have ready for me over there, if you would like. So, let's get into some Q&A questions, because I've read through a few of these, and a few of them are quite interesting. So, number one. By the way, I don't name people in these stories. In these questions. Mainly because, a lot of you use your real names, and I don't want to dox anybody. So, first question is, hey, sorry if this is last minute. It wasn't, so you're okay. I was curious what models you're currently working on, and if you had the next 2 weeks on a deserted island alone with nothing but 40k stuff, what models would you work on? I posted this on the YouTube live stream chat, but I don't think that's an appropriate place to put it. No worries, man. So I think I answered this in the chat as well. I have a huge backlog of models that I think a lot of you will be very gratified to hear, and right now, I'm working on finishing the Void Talons. I'm trying to finish those guys off. They were the former Astral Blades, they're now called the Void Talons. So I'm trying to make sure that they're done and ready to go. And so I would take those with me. The entire army, I'd take it with me, and my paint, and I would work through getting it tabletop ready and finished. All done. There's a long way to go. I mean, I think if I look at my... I have a Word document of things to do with the army. I know, I'm sad. This is what I do. But I think, right now, it is quite large. Yeah, there are 10 things to do right now. So, number 1 is rebase and ink wash the 11 assault intercessors. Number 2, repaint pauldrons on initial assault intercessors. Things like that. Right, going through the entire thing, and repainting bits to bring them in line to the quality of the newer stuff, and to make sure that everybody's on the same even keel with the same base and stuff. That's what I would do. I would generally do that. That is my backlog right now. Really, if you want specifics of something that I would build from the ground up, it would be my new Assault Intercessor set. I would build them with my new Samurai arms. I have a bag here of Samurai arms that are one and the other are left and right arms. And they look really, really, really cool. So I can't wait to use them on my Assault Intercessors. So that's what I would do. Second question. Hey, North. I think I've come across a very important question I've not heard anybody talk about before. If all of the Primarchs walk into a bar, with the Emperor paying for the first round, what are each of them having? That's a bloody... I know me and you've gone back and forth as well. We did a bit of a talk over on Patreon, didn't we? So, okay. I'm going to limit this to 5. I think we settled on 5, because I can't do all 20. I'll be here all night. So we'll do 5. I'll do 2 Loyalists, 2 Loyalists, 2 Traitor, and 1 that I want. Well, 1 pick that I want. So, 2 Loyalists first. Let's do Sanguinius, and let's do the Lion. Right? Sanguinius and the Lion. The two main... The best loyal Primarchs. Let's be honest. Ultramarines fans, I know. Sorry. But let's be honest, they are, So I think Sanguinius would have a Bloody Mary. I think he would have a Bloody Mary. With some Vitae in it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe some Vitae in it. And if he doesn't have that, I think he will have a pink gin and tonic. That's what I think he'll have. And the Lion, I'm going to go for a Newcastle Brown Ale. Like a really dark ale. Newcastle Brown Ale. And also, the Lion has, no social graces. And he doesn't give a flying F what anybody thinks about him. And a lot of the people who drink Newcastle Brown Ale have the same kind of attitude. In good and bad ways, because it isn't that much of a sociable drink to be drinking. So, yeah, that's what he would be drinking. In terms of my Traitor Primarch, let's go with the 2 best ones, quote-unquote. Let's go with most powerful ones. Who's the most powerful ones? I'm not going to do Horus. Let's go with Fulgrim. And let's go with... Ooh. So many good ones. Let's go with Fulgrim and Perturabo. Why not? So Fulgrim, for me, would have a pina colada or a sex on the beach. One of the two. Pina colada or a sex on the beach. Either which one you want to do, it's fine. And Perturabo, right, he would have a water... because he would be the designated driver. He's the one making sure everybody's getting home, right? He's the one who's actually doing the heavy lifting here. He's the one who has to sacrifice his own good time so that all of you can have a good time. So Perturabo would have water because he's the designated driver on the way home. He's been saddled and bullied by his brothers into driving them all home. And let's say my own pick. Who am I going to pick? Let's pick Magnus. Let's pick Magnus. This is a difficult one. I think Magnus would choose a very esoteric cocktail, like one from a gaming bar that's flaming. Do you know what I mean? Like one of them. Yeah. So I used to make one called a Hadouken, which is like you get like a shot glass. You fill it with vodka, and you put it in a glass, right? And then turn it over, so it's standing there, but the vodka hasn't come out yet, you know. So it's standing up in the glass, but the vodka's inside the shot glass, inside of a glass, inside of a tumbler, right? And it's face down. So you sort of got to be very careful not to pour it all out as you're turning it over, right? Right, cool. You then put ice around it, crushed ice around that to hold it in place. Then you put flammable rum in the top of the shot glass, right? Then you get some blue Curaçao. You get some, I think it was coconut rum, and you put that into the drink, and then you fill the rest up with not soda water. It's either lemonade or soda water. I can't really remember, but it's very nice. It's very sweet. You mixed it around. Then you lit it on fire. Okay, so the top of it is now on fire. That's what Magnus would have. He blows it out. He pulls up the shot glass, right? And it's like a Hadouken. Like all of the stuff explodes into the bottom of the glass, and it looks like a Hadouken blast, like a really like light blue Hadouken blast. That's what Magnus would have. All right, cool. Moving on. Next question. Why do people think it's okay to look down on people who pay to use their own funds to directly support large game companies rather than 3D printing? It's a personal choice, and we shouldn't feel guilty about using their hard-earned cash on what they want. What do you think? I agree. If you don't want to do 3D printing, that's all on you, man. You don't need to do 3D printing. Like no one's forcing you to. I don't even think 3D printing people are forcing you to. Like they're quite fine with it is how it is. You know, you don't need to be. I get what you mean, though. I do get what you mean. There is almost an insufferable, you know, you're either on the right side or you're not argument going on. It happens a lot. When so many people think that they're on the right side of history, they start to wag their finger at everybody else. But what they don't realise is that actually pushes those people further away from them. Right? Just go and have a good time with what you like. That will attract people naturally to what you're doing. The minute people stopped preaching about 3D printing to me, that's when I started buying 3D printed bits. But when they were preaching about it all of the time, I just rolled my eyes like, I'm not getting into that. You know, I'll just buy it. I don't care, right? I don't care. The minute people stopped, that's when I started to think, okay, maybe there's something here. I'm looking at them having a good time. I'm making my own decision. There are a lot of people out there who, if you chirp on at them about 3D printing, they'll think you're trying to convince me to do something that I might not want to do. But if I reach my own conclusion that what you're doing is good, and what I'm doing is not as good, I'll do what you're doing. But let me get there on my own. I had an ex-girlfriend back in the day, and I used to love AC/DC when I was in my late teens. And I would go on and on and on and on and on about the band all the time to my girlfriend. And she hated AC/DC. She couldn't stand them. And we broke up. Not because of that, about other things. And then we got back together again, like 6 or 7 months later, and she was in an AC/DC t-shirt, and I was like, what the hell is going on there? And she said, look, as soon as I didn't have anybody ramming them down my throat, and I looked at them myself, I liked them. It's the same thing, okay? If you want somebody to like 3D printing, stop talking to them about it. Show them your models, man. And when they say, where did you get that from? You go, oh, I just 3D printed it. It's fine. Or I got it from this other website that does 3D printed third-party pieces. You know, it's cool. And they'll go, oh, okay. And they'll make a mental note of that. And you'll get converts that way. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the hobby in the way you want to enjoy it. If you have the money to buy the models you want, no one's stopping you. No one is stopping you at all. Go and do what you want to do. What I would say is, please think about where you're putting your money. If Games Workshop are doing really, really, really shitty business practices to get you to want to do it in the first place. Alright? That's what I would look at. That's the problem people have, is whales. That's the problem. That's when people start having a problem. Is when you go in there and you start saying, well, I don't care, I'll pay the money. You know? I know this is bad for the consumer. I know this is like Games Workshop gouging our wallets. And I know I should hold the line here, but I'm going to buy it anyway. It's people like that who make sure that the prices stay high and that Games Workshop are never brought to task about anything. You know, it's kind of like crossing the picket line in a strike. You know, kind of like that. Yeah, don't do it. Is my phrase, my point and phrase. So, moving on. Number 4. I don't have a question per se, but the Codex app crap is real. Let's say you pay $6 a month in order to read rules and make more than one army list. Once the Codex comes out, the app updates. The index is removed and replaced by the Codex. If you have not spent $60 on the book, all the rules in the Codex, unit rules, detachment rules, and stratagems, so you get the ability to make more lists if you pay $6, but no rules unless you have the code in the physical Codex. Wow. Okay. Isn't that? I'm not seeing anything that's unfair there. It might be the way you've worded it though, but I'm not seeing anything unfair there. You know, like you pay every month to get your basic rules, but if you want any of the special rules in the Codex, you have to buy the Codex. I mean, that's why Codexes exist. That's why I don't think they should exist. Codexes shouldn't exist. Bar none. They shouldn't exist. All rules shouldn't be physical. They should be online, free, ready to download. You know? That's where they should be. But I'm not sure what you mean by all that. It sounds fair to me, you know, but it sounds, if you're going to have codexes, that sounds fair. I wouldn't have codexes, but if you're going to have them, that doesn't sound too bad. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. I don't know. I have to move on. So, next question. I have a question. What is up with Yorkshire tea? There are now 3 YouTubers that tell me how awesome Yorkshire tea is. Did I discover the great Yorkshire tea / YouTube conspiracy and have to be afraid of black helicopters, or is it just that good? It is a good tea, man. It is a good tea. I bet you the other YouTubers who talk about Yorkshire tea are all British. You know, are very British and very, you know, staunch in their Britishness, like I am, right? So it's just a good tea. When you have tea like Typhoo and PG Tips and what's the other one? Earl Grey, things like that. They just don't taste as good. They taste very watery to me. They taste like mellowed down, you know, milked down. Doesn't taste very nice at all. Whereas a Yorkshire tea is a hearty, you know, strong cup of tea. Especially with a 1 sugar in it. Oh my god. A strong Yorkshire tea with 1 sugar, instant hangover cure, man. Instant hangover cure. Not instant, but you're on your way if you have one of them. It's great. Absolutely great. So, it's just a really good tea. And British people like it. And, you know, there's a very good reason why it's not used in hotels and things, because it's more expensive. It's not very much more expensive. It's like 25 pence or 30 pence more expensive than a box of PG Tips. But it's worth it. But because these big companies don't want to spend that kind of money on tea bags, they don't use them, right? So, yeah, there you go. If somewhere did, if like a Costa Coffee used Yorkshire tea, that would be a mark of quality in my mind. I'd be like, oh, Costa, I will get a cup of tea there, my friend, no problem. I would love a high street place to sell Yorkshire tea. Just so you can go and get one and walk around with it nice and warm. Mate, it's such a comfort tea. It really is. Anyway, next question. I've been thinking, and I think I finally came up with a thoughtful question. Okay? I joined in the hobby near the beginning of 9th edition, and then got into Heresy before its 2nd edition was announced. However, in groups I talk to people, I generally agree... Sorry, it's been written in a weird way. However, in groups I talk to, and people I watch, I generally agree with the older group of hobbyists. Classic Horus Heresy players, firstborn Marine fanatics, etc. It gets me into trouble with the newer generation of hobbyists about many things. I have been banned from a couple of communities by some that told me, you're not the target audience. Now, where was I going? Oh, what key indicators do you look for before joining a local Warhammer community so you can mesh into it quite well? Okay. This is going to sound like a really cop-out answer, but if I walk into a store, and there are people who look like me, who... I don't mean like literally, I mean like, you know, my age. I don't mean race or gender or whatever, but I mean my age, you know, around my pay level, you know, professionals who are adults and they're having fun with a genuine smile on their face. I immediately think that's a good place to go and do my hobby. I know that's a cop-out answer because it's so obvious, but it's true. It's just true. If I walk in and I see people of my own age and my own demographic doing a hobby and really enjoying it, that's good shit, man. Like that's where I live. That's where I want to live. You know? So that's what I do. And that's what I want to be involved in. Right? So yeah. That's it. If people are enjoying it and they look like me and we're in the same demographic of people who are buying shit and working and you don't make me feel like I'm ashamed to be there. That's the main... It's best for me to tell you what turns me off. If I walk into a gaming club and there are people screaming and shouting and yelling and acting like 5-year-olds, you know, that place isn't for me. I'm not saying you shouldn't be in the hobby. Right? I'm gatekeeping myself. I'm gatekeeping myself away from your community. I'm going to walk away and be like, no, that group isn't for me. And I'll walk away and find one that I do gel into. Right? It's not the hobby's position to acquiesce itself for me. You know what I mean? To bend over backwards to appease me. I've got to fit into the hobby, and if I'm not fitting into this one little niche of it, I'll go find somewhere else where I will, you know? So yeah, if I see people who are adults and are being funny and responsible, and they're having a good time, that's when I'll gel in. That's when I generally tend to gel in. If I see any sort of rules lawyering, critiquing other people's models without asking, that tends to turn me off as well. I don't mean rules lawyering as in knowing the rules. I mean rules lawyering as in querying every single thing that's in a game I'm walking past. That turns me off too, right? Anyway, next question. What are your thoughts on a tabletop 40k solo game? I've seen blurbs of an online group working on something. Against the Hordes or something or other. Also, not really a question, but I'd like to hear more about your ideas and thoughts about the Xenos factions in the Exile-verse. I like 40k, but I tire that 90% of it boils down to the Imperium versus Chaos. Yeah, well, in the Exile-verse in my brain, most of the Xenos factions fight each other. They don't really fight the Imperium, because the Imperium's too powerful. So they're basically living Mad Max-like existences in a broken galaxy, fighting for what they have. And most of them are fighting over scraps, and that means that they're fighting each other. Okay? They do fight the Imperium, of course, when things align for them to do so, but most of them fight each other. Mainly because I want to give the Xenos factions wins. And I can't do that against the Imperium if we want to sell a load of Imperium box sets. So I'll give them wins against each other, right? That's how I would do it. Of course, the Orcs facing the Imperium's got to happen, because that's just cool, you know. Tyranids don't care. They will eat everybody. But people like the Eldar and the Tau, I would have the Eldar and the Tau locked in a bitter war. Constant war with each other. For like, because there's a lot of maiden worlds that the Tau are taking over. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would do. So the Tau and the Eldar are locked in like a World War II style, you know, reverse D-Day, where they go back and forth against each other, fighting over these maiden worlds. Because the maiden worlds, in my setting, are like really resistant to the warp. Really, really resistant to the warp's touch. And so both of them are very coveted by these two races. And the Imperium don't really care about them because they're off in the Tau Empire. Why would they care, right? So, that's one example of what I would do with the Xenos factions. In terms of a solo 40k game, yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, in terms of solo play, here's the thing. I don't think it'll ever happen officially because the community is what builds and maintains Warhammer. Even Games Workshop say that. It's the community that builds everything and maintains everything. That's why we even have a hobby. So, that's what that is. So I don't think we'll ever get one from Games Workshop. But if people are working on one, that would be a hell of a cool thing to do. I would like that. I would like that. I would like a really good 40k RPG more, so I could play that on my own. That I would value that a lot more than a tabletop version. But I see what you're saying, and I think there is a place for it. Yeah, that's really cool. So, next question. I have two questions, okay? One, recently when talking about your channel, you started saying we on the channel. Who is we? Are there other people involved? No. So, there are no other people involved in my channel aside from James, who is my lovely thumbnail artist. He does the thumbnails, he's a top man, and he won't let me plug his stuff because he wants to do it gratis. And well, he gets models here and there, you know, but he wants to just be in the shadows, which is fine. But he is a top man, and he does really good work. So he helps me out with my thumbnails. Aside from that, it's just me. I just made sitting here. When I say we, it's because I think it's your channel too. That's what that is. I think it's your channel too. So if you watch my channel, if you get anything out of my channel, I sincerely believe that it is also your channel, that you are here building it with me, rather than me building on my own and you just being a consumer. You guys have a personal stake in this because the amount of hobby nightmares that I get that are really personal and show really amazing memories from such an amazing hobby, of course it's yours as well, right? It's your house too. That's why I say we. Number two, when's the mini tournament happening, eh? Sort it out, mate. I know, dude. Okay, on the mini tournament that I was going to do this summer, around the greater Liverpool area, I went to so many places, and asked if we could do a tournament there, and they said yes. And the minute they asked me what kind of game we were playing, and I told them Warhammer 40,000, it was a no. I am not kidding. Liverpool is the most hostile place for metalheads and nerds I've ever known. I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's mainly populated by chavs, you know? All of the people who used to go to your school who hated nerds, they're the ones who run the city. You know? Most of the businesses in the city are run by those people, or who look down on 40k as the bottom of the barrel. Even the geeky places in Liverpool didn't want to know, or they were chains that couldn't do it, right? So you'd have people like places like Geek Retreat, right? I didn't want to be in another store. I wanted to have our own special place. And the two gaming venues that I knew of, where we could have done that, one was really rude to me, so they can get fucked. And the other one never got back to me. We started going back and forth about a price, and they never got back to me. So, yeah, it just didn't happen. It couldn't happen in Liverpool. So I'm thinking, when things clear up weather-wise, I'm going to do a similar thing, but I might do it at Composite Games. I've not mentioned this to them yet, but this is just a thought I've been having, that we might go down to Composite Games together, because it's in the middle of the country, so it's even away from everywhere else. So we can go down there together, all have a really good day, playing games, composite games. I think Doncaster's kind of near Sheffield, isn't it? Doncaster. Let's see. Let me have a little look here. South Yorkshire. Yeah, it's kind of near. It's kind of near Sheffield. So, I think what we will do, we will go to Doncaster, we'll go to Composite Games if they will have us, and we will have a really good day there playing games and having fun. And then we'll all go out for a night out in Sheffield. That's what we'll do. That's now my plan. I tried to do it on my doorstep, but I can't because they won't accommodate it. That's just it, you know. I banged my head against the wall for months, and by the time it all fell apart, it felt really bad. So I just went, you know what, I'll do this next year, and that was it. And it died down by then anyway. Like people hadn't lost interest, but people were like, I guess that's not happening now, you know. So I was like, okay, cool. But next year, Donny, we'll go down Doncaster, we'll go see Composite Games, we'll go give them some business, damn it, and we'll have a really good time. Hopefully, I haven't asked them yet, but I'm assuming it'll be okay and we'll be able to sort something out. So, that is my QA for today. I love you a long time, and I will speak to you very, very, very soon. Have a good one. Bye now.